Hey guys, so I know it's been a while since I posted my last video. I've just been going through a lot of things, but here I am. I'm back, and I wanna share with you guys basically how is that I go about learning a new topic, a new subject. Perhaps some of you guys are thinking about starting to study for a certification. Perhaps you are curious about learning more about a specific technology, etc. Whatever it may be, I just wanna kind of give you guys a different type of content that we normally see on YouTube. I just want to be as natural as possible when it comes to learning a new technology, a new topic, right? So what I want to do is just go over these different projects, right? So in this specific case, we're gonna go over containers on Elastic Beanstalk. I've been curious more about DevOps and cloud computing. I actually think that cloud computing and this technology of DevOps is going nowhere. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not going nowhere. It's going it's going to be growing and growing and growing because a lot of companies are moving more to a cloud type of environment. I know in my experience, a lot of small to medium sized businesses are now on hybrid infrastructures. So again, right? So that's why I'm curious about DevOps and cloud computing. I want to learn more about it. So again, the goal here is that you guys see how I approach studying. I think that getting your hands on technology is the best way to learn something. Then you can focus on the little details and and little concepts. You can read about it. But I think again, the best way to learn something and to get your hands get you know learn something is to get your hands dirty. So here I am. I want to give a shout out to Next Work for allowing beginners to um, get their hands on different projects. You guys can visit the website. I will put it down below. But it's really neat what they have created here. It'll make you create an account, and then here you could pick different topics here that you may want to learn. They do have a paid version that allows you to do more things, but we're going to use just a free version. And then again, you can study here different topics. What I want to study when I learn what I want to learn more about is just DevOps in this particular case. Perhaps I'll do a little bit of networking, computing security. This AWS Cloud Practitioner project must be good too, but we're gonna focus on DevOps. I've already done two projects. I completed two projects just so that I can get a taste of what it feels like. But I think it's been great, so that's why I decided to share it with you guys. So this is going to be a new project that I'm going to work on. Perhaps on another video, I'll go over these two projects. Again, I think they were great. So um, what else? What else? So a lot of these, I mean, I have some fundamentals of cloud computing. However, I don't know like the different features that each that each cloud provider offers, right? So in this case, we're gonna focus on AWS. And so just walk with me through this experience of going through this project. Um, I'm not a whole expert, right? So I may be explaining things slightly wrong, but I think I'll try to explain certain topics that comes to mind. I'll try to make connections with other things that I already know. That way, you guys, I hope you guys can make sense out of it. If you have some type of background in IT or in technology in general, I think it's gonna help you. Um, and so, yeah, let me know what you guys think. So, it looks like the project is going to take about 60 minutes. I'm not going to, I mean, this will be a full video where we're just going over the whole project. However, it's not like I'm going to complete the project just in one shot. It takes a lot of energy to not only, think about how we're solving this, we're going through the project, but also me speaking. So, I don't think it's going to take 60 minutes. It'll probably be 2 hours. But I'll try to take my time. Again, at the end, I'll put all the videos together. I do plan to finish everything in one day. So what I recommend, right? So this is what I'm going to do basically. So I'm probably going to study for about 30 minutes, and then I'll take like a 5-10 minute break, and then I'll continue. That's how I recommend you guys study whenever you're studying something. That's how I would set it up. But I think that's enough for my introduction. Without further ado, let's get it started, guys. All right. So, uh, all right. So let's see. So we're gonna work with containers. We're gonna learn about containers. In this specific case, we're gonna work with Docker and a tool from AWS called Elastic Beanstalk. All right, so I'm just gonna read whatever we're seeing here, and if I need to look something up, a terminology or a concept that I don't know, I'm gonna use ChatGTP. I think in today's age, and having the ability to use these tools like ChatGTP makes it a lot easier to study and to learn different topics. I think that we should learn how to leverage it, and it's great. Actually, the other day, I was practicing for an interview, and I was using ChatGTP to kind of like shoot me questions about the interview, and it's great. I mean, if you're not using it, I don't know what you're doing. It's gonna save you a lot of time, but anyway. So, 30-second summary, right? So this project is going to be on containers and Elastic Beanstalk. You'll get to create your own container, right? And we'll run it using a platform called Docker. You'll also meet in an awesome AWS service called Elastic Beanstalk, which will help us deploy the application in the cloud and make it available to the world. Okay, so why we care about containers? When developers create applications, they often use containers to package up their work and share in a way that's easy for other people to run. Using these containers have changed the game for making software fast, efficient, and it's also the reason why deploying software has become much simpler. Cool. So what we're going to be using today? We're going to be using Docker, so we're going to download it. I actually already downloaded it. I'm going over this again because I just started recording about an hour ago. But then when it asked me to install Docker, when I installed Docker, it asked me to restart my machine, and that messed everything up. So you're going to see that some of these questions are already filled out because again I was recording earlier, but it asked me to reboot my machine, and I lost the video. It didn't even record. I had recorded for like 30 minutes, but that's okay. I mean, that's how you learn, right? So perhaps next time what I'm going to do is just make sure that I have all the tools installed. That way, if they ask me to reboot my machine, I'll do it before recording. Okay. So, and then we're going to customize this container image. We'll run it locally, and we'll deploy the application to AWS. Okay, cool. So this is just a little like design or kind of like a flow chart of what we're going to be doing, right? So it looks like we have here our, our application, and we have here the source code where we have our HTML file, which is the front end, right? And then we have a Docker file, which I assume are some like files that comes with you install Docker that are necessary for the application to work in this type of environment. And then we're going to create an image of what we've created, what we've put together, and we'll deploy it to Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, and then as you can see, yeah, you can follow this guideline, or you can follow her step by step. So kind of like what I'm doing, except it's the way I do it from a different perspective. This lady right here probably has more experience than me and could probably explain better. But again, my goal is to for the guys out there is gonna give you a different perspective from someone that's just starting to learn, and somebody that is going to use their previous experience, so that I'm not going to only focus on going through the project, but I'll try to add things that I know about, for example, networking or software development, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so you can watch that video if you want to. And then there you have here three ways to start a project. So if you pick no touch, it's gonna give you pretty much no or minimal guidance on how to go through the project. Um, if you pick this one, you won't be able to create a document where you'll see everything, well, where you're going to see everything that you're answering. So for example, if we go here to low touch, and I showed you this, right? So at the end of the project, basically what will happen is it'll give us a document. Okay, so actually let me see if I can show you guys the document here, of what it looks like. Where do I have it? DevOps. Okay, so I think I told you guys earlier that I've worked on two different projects before, just that I can have a sense and taste of what this looks like. But again, right at the end, it's going to create a document where it's gonna just pretty much explain what you did with the comments that you added, right? So I think this is great because this is something that you can showcase in case you're looking for a job. So it's awesome, and everything is free. There is a free version. I'm sorry, a paid version that you can use if you want to unblock certain features. But I haven't paid anything. I think the free version is enough. It's great. Okay, so let me go back up top and um, just keep going. So we're just going to do the low touch. We don't want so much help. We want to, challenge ourselves, right? So this is the right place to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to read here. It says, what are we doing here today? I said that we're going to be deploying a web application to Elastic Beanstalk using Docker. Okay. Um, and then so we're going to go through step number one. So install Docker, which I already did. And it says here, why are we installing Docker first? Docker is in the middle of our diagram. Docker is the foundational tool for today's project. The first element of our diagram, the source code, represents the app that we're about to build, right? Which is this. Technically, we could work on the source code first, but it'll actually be a lot easier to understand the source code if you install and use Docker first. And the reason why they say that I'm assuming is because of this Docker file, right? They want us to make sure that we're looking at this Docker file because we're probably gonna use it. We'll make a connection between the two. I don't know. That's my thinking right now, right? Okay, so we're going to answer the question. Why are we here? What are we here to do in this step? In this step, I will be installing Docker because it is one of the main components for our project. Before we start by developing the app, we will use Docker as the starting point. Okay, so again, I already installed Docker. You can go here on the website. This is the main website. You scroll down, go ahead and download it. Okay, and I have it right here. Okay, so it looks like, yeah, you can see me well. So downloading desktop. Okay, so what is Docker Desktop? It is a program that makes it easier. That makes it easy to work with Docker, a tool for creating and managing containers. Engineers use Docker Desktop to build, test, deploy applications right from their computers and use Docker in a user-friendly way. Okay. What are containers? Okay, this is great. So this is where we're going to start learning. We're going to start, using ChatGPT to kind of explain things in a way that makes sense. Um, but let's just use for now what we have in front of us. It says containers solve a common problem called the "it works on my machine" problem. Have you ever seen someone run code perfectly on their computer but somehow gets errors when you run the exact same thing on a different computer? Software is not guaranteed to run and behave the way it's supposed to in every computer because each machine comes with its own operating system, software versions, local resources, etc. Right? So, what is the problem that containers tackle? Containers package up your application and everything it needs to run on in everything that needs to run in one file. Now, other developers can run this package instead of the application itself, which gets the application working much faster. Containers also let you run other developers' applications and software much faster since a container comes with everything you need to get it working ASAP. Now, one thing that I want to mention here, um, traditionally, what developers use to host an application is a server, right? Or a virtual machine. So the difference that they're talking about here is that on a virtual machine, right? So say for example, I live here in Florida, right? And tomorrow I'm gonna be in Dubai. How can I access that virtual machine that's hosted here on a data center if I'm outside of the country? Perhaps there are going to be some type of restrictions um, before I could access, that virtual machine that's here, right? Because it's going to say, probably going to say, we cannot let you access the virtual machine because you're in a different country. So we need to, grant you permissions, and you need to call your network engineer, your IT team, whatever it is, right? But what containers do instead is that they package all the application tools, develop files, and dependencies in one place that's easy for you to carry around with you, regardless of the computer, regardless of the operating system that you're using. Okay, so I hope that makes sense so far. So let's continue reading here. Containers are mostly used during development phase of an app. For example, when a team is developing a complex app, they might use containers to make sure that everyone in the team is working exactly in the same environment, even though they are on different machines. That's why containers are such a popular DevOps tool for making software development and releases more efficient. So, what does Docker do? Now that you know how containers work, Docker helps you create, manage, and deploy these containers efficiently. You can think of Docker as a tool that helps you create the cargo and load them onto ships. Optional if you want another explanation on containers. So this is like a graphical example, right? So we have a ship, right? And on this ship is where that we're going to have like little containers, and each container is going to represent an application, a particular application, right? It says here, and each container an application with its own unique dependencies, right? And when we're talking about dependencies, right, we're talking about the different files or libraries that developers need to create that application. Okay, so it says here you can use the same computer and to run lots of different containerized apps. Okay, I think so far it makes sense. So let's continue. Okay, so containers are often compared to cargo on huge cargo ships. Think about how a single cargo ship can carry tens, if not hundreds, of pieces of cargo. If your computer and operating system is the ship, a container is just a piece of cargo on that ship, right? So exactly what I explained. Each piece of cargo contains all different sorts of stuff inside, but you can load them all to the same ship because they are packaged neatly and in containers. Back to our computers. Each container has its own unique app inside, but they can all run on the same computer. This is possible because containers package up everything on an app needs to run, so it works consistently no matter where it is. What are containers? So here is that you're going to provide your own answer. Okay, so I said containers are environments that contains all the tools, files, and dependencies that are needed to develop an application, regardless of the computer that we are using to do so. They are useful because it's easy to manage and control. Great. Um, okay, so we're going to install Docker, which I already did. It's right here. If you have a Mac, you can use a Mac now. If you are going to use this website to practice these projects, I've run through a few issues. I think it's easier if you can spin up a virtual machine and install Linux on it. Just make sure that you uh, provision enough resources for it to work smoothly, because a lot of the project is mostly thought to be done on a Linux environment. Um, I am doing it, as you guys can see, on Windows just because I do have the virtual machine up, but I just haven't assigned the resources necessary for it to work smoothly. You can still do it on a Windows computer, but you may encounter certain issues. So that's what I would recommend, right? But again, regardless, you can do it on any OS. Okay, so here is just telling us how we can just download a Docker app on a MacBook. Okay, so it says Docker desktop will ask you to sign in right away. We don't need to do this. Let's skip. Okay, so let's open up the application here, and we'll do skip. Okay. What is your role? Oh, well, you could. It doesn't really matter, right? I guess you could send me systems administrator. What will you use Docker for? Doesn't really matter. I don't know. Learning and teaching. Okay, great. So before we continue, I want to use ChatGTP. Um, because I want to, of course, look up um, these topics, right? So let me just go ahead and find my ChatGTP window. I don't I don't see it, so I'm just oh, here it is actually. How silly. Okay, so I was going through this earlier when I was recording earlier, and I asked, right, um, what is Docker, right? So we already have an idea of what Docker is. Why use Docker? By now we should know that it's portable. We can use it across different operating systems, right? It's isolated, right? It helps avoid conflicts between application, efficiency, right? So containers share the host OS kernel, which make them lightweight and faster than virtual machines. It's scalable, right? Because you can use Kubernetes to, make it more scalable. And then it's making reference to how more efficient is to use containers. And then it looks like there is some type of a version control system here for Docker. A version control system is like, for example, GitHub, right? Where we're going to be keeping track of all the different changes that developers are making um, within that specific repository. So I hope you guys are following me here. And just talking about here some common, use cases. And here it's making a comparison between the two, right? Just like I was talking about it earlier, right? Because one is that the container is going to share only the OS kernel, while a virtual machine is going to use the whole operating system, right, for it to work. And this is going to give us some advantages, right? It's going to give us a faster startup and lower resource usage. While a virtual machine is usually slower and it usually requires even more resource usage, right? And then these are process level isolation. This is for, so okay, great. I think that's enough. Then the other thing that I wanted to do here is understand the difference between Docker and Kubernetes and see if there's a relationship between the two, right? So it says here they're complementary technologies, but they serve different purposes in this ecosystem, right? So we know what Docker is, what is Kubernetes. This is an orchestration tool, right? It coordinates deployment, scaling, and management for multiple containers, okay? Distributed system managing across different multiple nodes, machine in a cluster, okay? Looks good. So it's just a tool that allows us to scale these um, containerized applications, okay? And here you can take a look at the key differences between the two and how they relate with each other. Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time here, so you can look this up on your own, but there is a relationship between the two, okay? Um, Analogy Docker. Okay, so let's see how they work together before I keep going. Docker is used to create containers, and then Kubernetes is used to manage and orchestrate those containers. So, for example, Docker creates the container image that packages your application and its dependencies. Okay, we learned that by now. Kubernetes deploys and scales these containers. It monitors its health and manages their, like, okay, that makes sense. All right, cool. So let's keep going. So we're going to hit skip, which we did. Yeah, so can I still use Docker without an account? If you're just using Docker on your local computer, which is what we're doing, Docker will work just fine, and your work will save locally. It's just like other software you download. Some software will just work on your computer straight away without you needing to create a new account. If you ever want to save your Docker work in the cloud, that's when you'll definitely need to sign in and create an account. Okay, cool. So this is what the dashboard looks like. Okay, so let's experience, right? Let's immerse ourselves into the applications. This is the first time I see Docker, a desktop. Okay, so it looks like here's where we're going to have our containers. Here is that we're going to have our images that are going to be stored locally, and it looks like there are, the hub repositories that I was talking about, right? So this is what GitHub looks like as well, right? Volumes, I'm not sure what volumes are. Okay, builds, not sure what builds are. Build container images and artifacts from source code. Okay. Docker Hub. Okay. Docker. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. So it says here. So what can I do in Docker Desktop? Lets you manage everything about your containers. You can create new containers, adjust their settings, and monitor how they run. Extra for experts. Can you explain the different tabs at the left of this dashboard? Uh-huh. So see, exactly what I was doing, right? This is how you go about learning things, guys. They make you download an application, go through each tab, see what if they gives you some type of um, initial understanding of what it does, what it is, right? So that's what it's asking us to do here. Okay, so containers. This is where you start, stop, and manage your containers. Okay, images. This is where you manage your container templates. So it looks like you could have templates, right? So instead of creating an application from scratch, you can have a template, right? And use that as a starting point to create your application. Okay, volumes. This is where you can access data saved in your containers. Okay, so it looks like it's some type of storage, right? Okay. Then there are builds. This is where you manage your images and custom create it and load it into Docker. Okay, manage images you custom create it or load it. Okay, and Docker Scout is a feature for analyzing your Docker images for security issues. Okay, this is great. Nice. Extensions. This is where you can integrate other tools into Docker, like container monitoring and security. Great. All right, so it looks like it wants us to go ahead and take a screenshot of our dashboard. So we're going to do that. The reason, again, why it's asking us to do that is because at the end of the project, we are going to have a document that's going to store um, everything that we are typing in to the little, boxes for the questions that they're um, asking us to answer, and also these pictures, right? So, uh, what am I doing? So I can focus and do this at the same time. So what I want to do is, yes, I want to capture the region, but why is it not asking me whether I want to save it or not? So I do that. So let me kill this, okay? And I'm going to screenshot. This is an application that I have here to take screenshots. So let's try this again. And I'm going to do save as docker dash, okay, to here, okay, dash, okay. And then it looks like there's something else here. So what is Docker and what is Docker desktop? Okay, so this is how we're studying. This is how we're learning. So Docker would be what? Docker is an application that and this is normally where I get stuck. I sometimes want to and enter something that makes sense, which that's what you should be doing, because again, you'll have that in the document. So let's see how we can describe what Docker is. So Docker is an application that uses containers containers to package up application dependencies, that uses containers to package up application dependencies for development. Docker Desktop is another application that is a centralized platform to install, manage, delete, it's a centralized platform to manage I'm not sure how to spell this. Okay. So just bear with me, guys. Here, what I'm doing is I'm just looking how to spell this correctly, because this is what I'm going to have on this document, right? So I want to make sure I'm spelling this correctly. And it looks like I cannot find anywhere that says that we are content. Okay, so it's okay. We'll keep going here. Let's see if we can just find continue. Okay. Why is he doing that? Applications. Okay, so we are going to manage your applications. Great. So we'll hit continue. Now at this point, I'm going to, let's verify that we've downloaded Docker successfully. Okay. So why would I need to verify I've installed Docker? Isn't seeing Docker Desktop enough for verification? Think of Docker and Docker Desktop as two different things. Docker on its own is a tool for container management, while Docker is an app that makes using Docker more interactive and efficient. And that's because you can use Docker using a CLI tool, right? You can use the command line to send commands to create a new, container. But then you also have, the Docker desktop version that makes it, a lot more like user friendly, right? So that's what it's talking about here. So I don't think I used the right, but I mean, it's as long as you understand it, that's all that matters, right? So again, let's keep going here. Open the terminal on your local computer. This should be called terminal for Mac Linux computers, and command prompt. Okay, so I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to take a little break, right? Remember, 30 to 35 minutes. Then we're going to take little breaks and we're going to continue studying. All right. All right, guys. See you just in a little bit.